I love to see the towns passing by and to ride these rails neath God's blue sky. Let me travel this land from the mountains to the sea, 'cause that's the life I believe He meant for me. And when I'm gone and at my grave you stand, say God called home your rambling man.
Welcome to Ramble Man Podcast episode number 49. This one is with Ashton Ludden. She'd recently taken a trip to Alaska, and I was so enamored with the photos and her adventures that I asked if she'd like to talk about it. Fortunately, she did. She is a very talented artist. If you'd like to follow on for her work, probably the best avenue is on Instagram. And her username is Ashton_Ludden. That's ASHTON_LUDDEN. Give her a follow. You'll see some great artwork. Our sponsor, again, this episode is Feral Giant. Feral Giant is a graphic design, illustration, and social media company. They do everything from website development to handcrafted illustrations custom to their client. If you'd like more information about them, visit them at feralgiant.com or follow them on any of the social media at Feral Giant. Without much further ado, here's the episode. Did you get a chance? Did you listen to any?
It's funny you said that thing about meandering, because that was one where I just was sampled in the middle one. You were talking I think it was with Sean recently.
Okay.
I didn't listen to much, but I was just quickly kind of, I was like, oh my God, why haven't I checked any of this stuff out?
Oh.
I saw your I was looking at your website and everything, but so.
I was going to say, I think Sean has now been on 4 episodes.
Yeah.
One on portraiture, one on how guys have a tendency to make friends in cigar shops and bars. When traveling, I noticed that.
When traveling?
You'd make quick friends. I was in a cigar shop in Detroit, and some older dude, more professionally looking than I, was asleep, woke up, and we immediately became buddies. I think it's just because you're just sitting there and you've got nothing better to do, so you're going to talk to the person next to you. I think it's more, I don't know. Portraiture, that, one on art, and then the one that got released recently. I'm going to say recently, even though it got released yesterday.
That is
Him, my buddy Jason, and I talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it is dumb as hell. To where I had to preface it with, I hope we don't sound like idiots. Because we were all tired. I had no HVAC at my house, no air in my car. This was a month and a half ago.
I think I remember you talking about
that. Yeah, I was a little sick, and I was tired, and so it may have gone off the rails. And they pick on me the whole time. So, good episode. Good quality. We call that quality content. Okay, so you went to Alaska, but not Banff.
That's correct. I was in the United States the whole time.
Okay, here's where I'm stupid. Banff is not in the United... Oh, Banff is Canada.
Yeah.
Damn it.
No, well, you made me second guess myself. I'm like, oh shit, is it in Alaska?
It's in Canada.
Canada, yes.
It's in Canada.
Canada.
Okay. But it is close to Alaska, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
I'm not stupid. Well, I am stupid, but I'm not. What made you... Have you been to Alaska before? There's the number one question.
No, I have not.
What made you decide to go to Alaska?
Well, actually, my friend moved up there about a year and a half ago. And
Amy.
Yes, Amy. And she's been, I think she either was just saying, come up here, or I was like, why not? I have a friend in Alaska.
Yeah.
And the thing especially about her is that she is probably one of the only other people that will go do anything with me. And she's like, we're both just the adventurous person that I only showered 4 times the whole time I was there. I don't know how many times she did. We were all tent camping, you know, like when she lived here, we would, because she was self-employed, it was nice because I could just call her and our dogs were friends. And so we would always do trail runs or hikes together, and I could call her up and she like we were talking about, you know, people flaking out a lot. She'd be like, yeah, let's go. And so I was like, Alaska? Yeah. Let's go. So,
Is she still in the military?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I knew her a little bit when she was here through Dale and Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's up there, and she's a medic up in the National Guard.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but she lives in a beautiful area, and so she kind of planned most of the trip because she's been up there about maybe a year and a half now. So she's had a little bit of time, but not a lot of time to go explore the state. So she wanted to go too. So it was kind of an excuse because it's huge. Like if you've probably ever looked up those maps where it's lays it on the U.S., but which it makes, I don't know. I feel like if you look at it in a full world map or an atlas or whatever, it looks like almost half the country. It's really big. So she hasn't had a chance to go explore it all either. So she kind of used me as a guinea pig and wants other people to go visit her. Those who say they will or whatever, just needs to go.
Okay. This is a call to arms to get those people to actually go visit her.
Because it sounds, and I talked to some other people that are from there, and it sounds like it's such a beautiful state, and it can get lonely. It's so much wilderness, and can get isolating. And there isn't a lot of people up there compared to the lower 48. So they want people to come visit. You know,
here's where I'll start rambling. These 2 guys I know wrote and drew a comic book called 30 Days of Night about how there are 30 days of night in Barrow, Alaska, so vampires go up there.
Oh.
It got turned into, I think, 2 movies, something like that.
That's
but it's
awesome.
just, I was like, the minute I heard about the concept, I was like, why in the hell hasn't anybody done that before? Of course. 30 Days of Night. They can just go whatever. But, okay, so where is she based?
She's in Fort Greely.
I almost want to do the mitt and go, where is that? On the outer tip
like
or closer
is it a
to
mitt? I don't know.
Canada? Closer to Canada or
It's
closer
like a ball
to the...
with 2 legs.
Okay.
It's kind of up in the
Closer to Canada. Closer to Canada.
Yeah.
That's the way we'll put it. It's not a visual podcast.
I know. I'm trying to look for some source of visuals.
So she is closer to Canada. Do you travel? I know it's not internationally, but do you travel long distances a lot?
I've been to Japan once, and this is again to see a friend who moved away.
Nice.
One of my, you as my mom always said, you'll be able to count your real friends in your life like on your one hand. And she was somebody I lived with in undergrad and moved back home because she had a green card or whatever for school, and then we graduated and she had to go back, and so I saved up money and just went over there and stayed for about the same amount of time I was in Alaska. And, but I'm definitely itching for it, and I've been trying, especially the last year and a half, like exploring even East Tennessee hikes and stuff, and I'm not trying that hard. I'm kind of just like waiting to fill my foundation, like get as many trails within 2 hours of Knoxville and see what's out there and find little gems. But using that All Trails map, or All Trails app is what I meant to say, and just browsing. But yeah, after Alaska, I'm like already planning to go back. I'm like,
there's a couple I know that they just decided we want to see every waterfall in this area.
Yeah.
So they're going, and they're like, there are some where we don't know how the hell we're going to get there, but we're going to get there. So they would take these weekend trips, and I would see reports on like Facebook or Instagram. It's like, all right, well, we hit 13 this Saturday. I was like, good God.
That's
like,
awesome.
That's
what a
insane.
fun goal.
I used to have a thing where I would drive for 4 hours in any direction out of town, find something there, turn around and drive back.
Yeah.
Like mess around in a small town in western North Carolina or southern Kentucky or something, but usually take back highways, no interstates.
Yeah.
Just back highways.
I like that. That's a lot more about like people and community,
Yeah.
like little nooks here and there.
And I found, of course, have you heard of, let's see, Marshall High Studios? It's in Marshall, North Carolina.
I think that does sound familiar. Is it near Hot Springs and stuff?
Yes.
Is it one of those other little towns near Asheville?
Yep.
Yes.
So I was working on a project that would take me a bunch of back roads. We were logging this old historic highway, and we would go, same thing almost. This was much more recently. And but we ended up in that town, Murphy, North Carolina. It's a neat little tiny downtown. I don't know. There's some kind of bakery that has this monkey bread that was unbelievable. Like, I want to go back just for that. But it was weird because you have your downtown, and then there's this little stream, and you go across a bridge, and there's like an old college, and it's been turned into like an artist commune.
Yeah.
It's kind of
I think, okay, so Andrew, my partner, he a long time ago had an interview out there for some job.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's where we were. I'm like 99% sure was Marshall. And that thing might have been being built or in the works or something.
Yeah.
Because it's not that old, right? Or is it? Maybe it was there and we didn't see it or something.
I don't know. This was, when we took that trip, it was right under 3 years ago. And we noticed it and we heard about it, but we didn't know anything about it.
Yeah,
it was
this was a while
I think
ago.
somebody in the town was like, "Oh, that's an artist commune." Like, that's what we heard. And
Yeah.
then I was today, good Lord, my brain is absolutely fried. I was talking to somebody. I was talking to a guy who is new to town, that he and his family have a farm in western North Carolina.
Yeah.
And he moved from there to Atlanta, back to there, to now he's living in Knoxville. And I was like, "Do you know about this?" And he was rattling off like, what's Penland? Is Penland in North Carolina?
Oh my God. I feel like you can't put this on the air that I don't know. But yes, I think so. It's
Okay.
in North or South
For
Carolina.
some reason,
it's in the middle of nowhere. I know that. I unfortunately have not been there yet.
Okay, for some reason I thought it was in like Indiana or something. I didn't
No,
think.
it's like tucked in the mountains somewhere.
Okay.
And it's much, much more secluded than Aramon or anything.
Okay.
It's like not in a city, my understanding. It's like a huge property.
Okay. Well, it was funny because he mentioned Penland and he mentioned some other place, and then he was like, "Maybe it's Aramont." And I was like, "Dude, no, that's in Gatlinburg." He was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "I've been there half a dozen." Yes, it's in Gatlinburg, dude. He was like, "I don't know. Are you sure?" Son of a bitch. So I finally had to look it up using a check-in app to find the monkey bread place.
Yeah.
And then it's
monkey
like,
bread.
it's Marshall, North Carolina. And then I Googled like Marshall, North Carolina art, and there it just popped right up. It looks really, I want to go visit it. A friend, somebody you may know, although I don't want to name him because I don't want to blow up his spot, but he's looking at something maybe like that, maybe around here.
Around here? Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't say that, but
Exciting.
But I told
We'll
him, I
see.
was like, "If you want to go over there and check it out, I'll go with you because I just want to see it. I think it's interesting, and I want to have a drink, the monkey bread. I want more
The
of that
drink
damn-
and monkey bread.
Anytime I repeat something more than like 2 or 3 times, I'm like, have a drink. Anybody listening, have a drink because I've mentioned that. But yeah, it's a neat little town. It's I don't know how to put it. It's just a cool little mountain town.
Yeah, if I remember where we were, and that was Marshall, it was like it was just a quaint little downtown.
I think
basically.
it's like 20 minutes away from Hot Springs. But if you're going Knoxville through Hot Springs, through Newport, through Hot Springs to Asheville, you don't pass through it. Like, you almost have to get off in Hot Springs and go south.
Okay.
I think, or north. You don't pass through it to get to Asheville.
Okay.
I guess because I literally just took that trip
Yeah.
they're doing construction work over the mountain, and we went to a concert last Thursday, and we went through Newport and Hot Springs to get there.
Yeah, I think I visited my dad recently. He's over in Belfair near Hilton Head. He retired out there. And so I was visiting him, and I think that same construction was happening. And Maps was like, nope, let's go this way. And I was like, this is the nicest drive ever. It's so pretty. And
it was 45 minutes different to go.
Yeah, but it was worth it, I thought.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hot Springs was one of those I discovered on one of those, was a town I discovered in one of those trips.
Yeah, there used to be a really cute little sandwich shop that was right at that intersection that you have to stop and turn left and go by the river rafts. But it didn't look like it was there anymore.
Well, and the train car is still there, but it's something different. But it used to be their library or a book. I think it's a library, like a kid's library.
Oh.
And it's not anymore.
Oh.
It's like, yeah.
I'm sure they might, that little intersection has some turnover.
Oh yeah. Okay, so you've been to, did you say Tokyo?
Yes, I've been to Tokyo, but she lives in Kawasaki, or her family does, and so that's where she was. She actually is now back in the U.S. She married one of my best friends from undergrad, and they're in Seattle now. So that's another on the list is like the Northwest, like up in Washington, Oregon. I have a few people that I need to drop by.
Luckily, I don't know how, but I don't know how I know this. I know how I know to ship baseball. I'm trying to get to every baseball stadium in the country.
Oh, that's cool.
One of the bigger problems was flying from Knoxville, Seattle, or Knoxville to Portland was always like $900. It was a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And something happens, and it's dropped out to where it's like $300, $400 to fly up there.
Yeah.
So now it's like next year during the baseball season. It's like, okay, when am I going up there?
Yeah.
Okay, so you visited her in Japan.
And then in college or grad school, I had a wonderful opportunity to do an artist residency for 5 weeks in Poland.
Okay.
So
I thought you were going to say Portugal. I was like, oh, Portugal.
No. I keep wanting to say Portland. Poland in Wrocław. So we have kind of an exchange program with their students. So they'll send a few of their students to us in the fall, and then they send some of us over there. So that was really awesome. I know people have done those like Europe trips, but I would rather go to one place and get to know it really well.
Okay.
I don't know why. I think that's kind of what I do in my work too. Like I want to focus on one thing at a time. And
so if you were doing that, would you want someone to help guide you, or would you want to find shit on your own?
So that's funny you say that, because when I was in Alaska with Amy, like we kind of ran into that, because part of it was that I like to just like be like, let's just go on an adventure and not know everything. So I kind of was like, she kind of laid out an idea, like where places she wanted to go, and kind of got an idea what I wanted to do or type of things. But then there was a hiccup, and this is also what you do when you're with one of your best friends for like 10 or 11 days together, really close. And, we kind of like the first couple of days we had a hiccup in some plans, and like basically we were in Denali, and that was where we went the first few days. And we had a schedule. She got misinformed with like the schedule, because it had just switched from the summer schedule to the shoulder season, because they're going to close the park for the winter.
Okay.
Or most of it during the winter, because it's just like that road isn't really accessible. So anyway, we got like stuck basically on a tour bus when we were we had our stuff all ready to go on like a really long hike, and we were thinking it was shuttling us out there, but basically it made us stop at everything. And we were stuck on there all day, and we were just like trying to cope with the fact that this is happening. And because you can't walk back. It's like it's one road that goes through the park, and it's only accessible by shuttles past mile, I think it's 15 or 30. And so we get shuttled, like we can drive your own car to the campsite, and then you can't go back out back and forth. It's like one way in, one way out. So if you come out before your campsite registration date is up, then you don't get to go back.
Wow.
So it's a lot for emission control, which I think is really great. But the bus, so the thing is like we got stuck on that shuttle, and it was either like we'll get off where there's not our destination. Our destination was like one of the last stops. Okay. And basically we were not going to be able to get a ride back in time. So it was just it was just funny. So we were trying to be like, okay, we kind of lost a day, and we were dealing with it. And so back to kind of planning and stuff, like we had to kind of like, she's really go with the flow, and I'm always very indecisive. And so it was like, I wanted to know what she wanted to do, but she was like, I really genuinely am up for anything. And I'd be like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know, like, because everything was amazing. And I don't know, it was just, so we figured it out, and it all ended up being a better flow after that. But it was nice, like, we were like, okay, now I need to research and be like exactly what we want to do. Because we were almost like, since we lost a day, we were going to Barrow the next day, which was a lot of traveling. So like she had driven 6 hours to meet me wait, did I fly into Fairbanks?
Fairfax?
No, Fairbanks is
Fairbanks.
But I think I flew into Anchorage. So she drove to Anchorage to pick me up, and then we went to Denali from there. So she had driven all day. I was on a flight all day. We got to Denali the first night, or that night, and then we got to the hotel. We went to a really cheap motel. Like it was like the weirdest place ever. You probably saw the menu I posted on Instagram.
Oh, shit.
And
Yeah,
I put those
so.
highlights on.
Oh, yeah.
So I have the whole trip on the highlights. But the first night, we just needed a place to stay for the night because my flight got in late. And we were like, let's just get some rest and get ready and head out in the morning towards Denali. And we found a really weird little place that was very nice, I think. Like, I don't want to know if it wasn't. But and then we hit the road. And then so we drove again. And we were both traveling. Got to Denali. Did a little hike and exploring the first full day, and then the next day was when this hike was supposed to be, and so we got stuck on another like basically traveling, like sitting. We hate sitting. Like when we were on the plane to Barrow, we would like just get up and walk, or like we were just not one of those people that I don't know, wants to sit around. So I'm rambling now.
No, it's anytime I go from here to Deep West Knoxville, I was like, can I just be there? I don't want the in-between.
Yeah,
I mean, just want to be there.
Unless I'm hiking it.
Yeah,
I'm like, if I'm moving, at least for me, like that's what we. So anyway, the following day was another travel day because we just did this kind of quick, like silly 24-hour trip up to Barrow to be on the top of the world, as they say.
Yeah.
Is the name, because it's the farthest point you can go in the U.S. It's not the most northern point in the world, but in the U.S. And that was a really interesting place. That's where it was really awesome. We got there in the evening, and the sun had been setting for hours and hours and hours. And then I'm like never wanting to sleep in Alaska because the sun never goes down and everything's awesome. And like the Arctic Ocean was just beautiful. Like I've never seen color like that on the water, but I haven't been around the water a whole bunch either. So like I haven't seen the Pacific, I don't believe, no. But
lightness or clearness?
Yeah, like it was just, I don't know, like very glassy. And I don't know if it could have also just been a placebo somehow too, but I don't know. It was really cool. Like really lavender and just, it was this weird glassiness to it. And I think the vastness and also just knowing there's like nothing over there. I mean, there isn't anything across any ocean really that you can ever see, but until you hit land again, but.
No. Sarah, now I can't. Palin clearly could see Russia from where she was at in Alaska. Uh-huh. You mean you couldn't see Russia? Mm-mm. You didn't wave at Putin from...
I did point that out when I was in the plane. I was like, Russia's over there. And then I was like, the Arctic Ocean. That's basically, I think, is all that's out here right now.
Oh, my God. What was the weather like when you were... is it already kind of flipped over to where it's...
So it's like, it was fall, like when I got there, maybe even a hair warmer. I feel like the weather followed us. It was unusually warm when we were in Barrow, or Utqiagvik, I think is how you say it, which is actually what the name is now. It's kind of like how they changed McKinley to Denali, the mountain.
Yeah.
Instead of whatever white dude found the place later.
Yeah.
It was like sunny and 60 there, and they said that was really unusual because it's usually foggy. Like overcast sounds like and rainy is pretty typical Alaskan weather, it sounds like, or more common than not. So there was a couple days that we couldn't, like we never really saw Denali, the mountain, and they say 30% of people who go there
really
only see it. Well, we'll only see it because it's so cloudy. And then... we think we may have seen it from the plane, though, when we were flying, because we knew it was the mountain range, but I was like, I don't see one that looks way bigger than all the other ones, so I don't know. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. And then we tried to see a Whittier Glacier, which is near Prince William Sound, and that was just totally overcast
Fogged
that
in.
day. So,
Yeah.
but I feel like that's what was cool about Alaska, though, is that there's so much, but it's really, really elusive. Like it's an elusive beauty. It's like, no, I don't feel like it today. I'm not gonna show off. I'm gonna hang out over here, and then like it'll be really fleeting too. Like maybe it'll clear up and then it comes back. Like we got really lucky and got to see the Northern Lights. Like I think right now, because now I follow her friend who's a photographer and does little tours. Stephen Miller, I think his name is, and he does these amazing photos. But he's, I think, going out to photograph them. They're supposed to be active this weekend again. I think they were kind of active when we were there. But it's also the beginning of the season. My understanding is like fall to spring is for Northern Lights.
They really pop or whatever.
Yeah, or they're just more active, I guess.
Yeah.
And that was what was cool too, because we set an alarm at one point in the middle of the night to just check it, and because we were so tired all the time because we were just exhausting ourselves over and over. So we were like, we do have to sleep.
Yeah.
So we'd like set an alarm, and one night I woke up, and it was like, I was like, is that like? And I was like, oh my God, and it was just happening, and I just watched it, and it was probably maybe a minute, if that, but it was like, kind of just came out from the horizon, and it looks like kind of light smoke.
Okay.
Almost. And it's really like my photo. I ended up taking pictures later of another one, but the first time I saw it, I was kind of like, oh my God, what's happening out? And it like made them into these beams up into the sky and up all the way up into the center of the sky, which Amy had never seen, which was really cool to share that with her. Cause like this is all new to me, but it was really cool for her to like have these new experiences with me too. Because sometimes they kind of just hang out on the horizon or, but it was like really quick and fleeting and dancing. And then it was like, and then it chilled out for like the rest of the night. And I was like waiting for it to do, I was like, oh, do it again. And it was like, no, I'm done. And then we were another night after we had came back from Barrow or Utkayavik, we flew back into Fairbanks, and then we drove back to her house for a reset night to do laundry and shower and on the way back, we had like 2-hour drive. We got back into the airport at midnight, had a 2-hour drive, and on our way, we like knew it was supposed to be active. And we kind of looked up, and it was like awesome. We were like, pull over. And we pulled over, and we watched it for a while. And then we were like, she's like, I know this lake that she does trail running sometimes at. And we went to it. No, it's not Mirror Lake. Never mind. I can't remember the name of it, but we went there, and then her friend who does another friend who does photography was there that night in the middle of the night, like taking photos of it.
Oh my God.
So and it was just like a crazy coincidence because she had talked to me about this friend over and over, and then I like happened to run into her very coincidentally, and we watched it, and it kind of hovered the rest of the night. It was like really active, and then it kind of chilled out, and and I say it, but really it's a she. They call
the Northern
Aurora,
Lights.
The Aurora,
Aurora Borealis.
Borealis, yeah.
Good
So
Lord.
it's gender specific.
Gender specific. It's not a they, it's a she.
It is a she. So that was really awesome.
So it was starting of the fall, just like here, but of course temperature does.
Yeah, so 60. It was anywhere from 50s to maybe 70 during the day, and sometimes it'd be sunny, so I'd feel hot. I just had we had layers. We would just shed and put them back on, kind of depending on what was happening or how active we were.
I've heard during like the summer months, it can get very lush and green and humid up there.
Well, I guess that they did reach record temperatures in Anchorage they've never hit 90 degrees, and they did, I think, for several, I don't know how long, but several days at least. That was something too interesting to because the second half of the trip was more of the ice and glacier stuff, and that's where I'm like, I'm like, oh my God, I got to go back to that. Yeah. And it was also really eye-opening. I mean, I've been active in kind of understanding what's going on, and with the Arctic and the permafrost becoming exposed, and everything. Yeah. Climate change, and so it was just like even more real to go up there and especially talk to a lot of the rangers that are there. that have seen it firsthand. And like we went to a glacier, I think it was our last morning there, that had these markers. It was Exit Glacier in Kenai Ford National Park. And there were these markers as you hike up to it, like back from the 1800s of where the glacier would come out to. And as you went up to it, like the signs got closer and closer and closer together.
Yeah.
And there's one like from when Amy and I had met in 2010 in grad school here when I moved down to Tennessee. And it was, I mean, several, like probably at least 2 or 3 miles back. And it's hard to see also, there's a side note, like everything looks close or not that far away.
Yeah.
But everything's like probably 6 times farther than you think it is. Like they call it the Alaskan effect because I think it's just because I don't know if it's just so vast or atmosphere or what, but it just.
I remember you posted 2 in a row that were like, here's us up close. Here's where we actually were.
Yeah.
And it was like a little dot.
That's why I was posting
funny.
those for perspective because I was like, I'd take a picture. I'm like, this looks so small compared to what it is.
Yeah.
And there was one time when we did this kayaking excursion among icebergs, which is by Pangea Adventures. If you ever go up there, use them because they're awesome and they're a small little company. I know. I'm like, I have to say their name because I didn't tag them on Instagram. I'm sorry. But so they took us out and, we had a lunch. Like we just pulled off and had lunch on some glaciers, or next to them. And I took some pictures of it. And then I was like, if there wasn't a person in the picture, it just looked tiny, like just micro kind of effect happening where it just looked small. And I was like, so.
Were there a lot of times when you all were up there that you were actually alone? Like, was it pretty barren? It was pretty barren? Yeah. Because the kayaking thing was one of the very few things we like paid to do. Everything else was us just like there's hiking everywhere and camping everywhere. It's like people are either hunting or camping up there. It seems like because hunting, people hunt caribou and moose and. Is it the hunting season?
Yes, I think it is either about to be or like I can't remember what animal or whatever, but which I was a little sad about because I was like they were saying the springtime is a lot more. I mean, we saw stuff, but I'm like I want as many animals to see in the I was really wanting to see a polar bear, but at the same time, once we were up in Utkayavik, it was like so warm that day, and that place was so weird that I was like, if I saw it, it would be scavenging. And I would probably have started just like it would have been not, but at the same, I don't know. It was just like one of those. I don't know. It was also interesting talking to people that live there. That like because we woke up in the morning early and we were gonna go on like find something to do, go walk around or do a little hike, and it was like foggy. And the guy's like, "Well, you really shouldn't go out to the lake because if you can't see distance, you shouldn't go out there just because if there is a bear out there, you're kind of screwed."
Yeah.
Like you can't. If it sees you, it's like.
Instagram's gotten better about that whole you can mark stuff mature content. And I remember making the mistake of clicking on one of those on Nat Geo, and it was like an emaciated polar bear.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, geez, I did not need to see. That's going to be burned in my brain for the rest of my days, man.
Yeah, so that was kind of like, I guess, and I was also just grateful for everything we did encounter and see. And so I was like, and like I said, I felt like Alaska was just a taste of it. And that's even what Amy was saying how she kind of planned the trip. We kind of went all over. So I was
going to say, how many areas do you think you hit? Or towns, or however you want to qualify this.
Probably, we were in Valdez. We were in Seward, which is but we didn't really do a lot there. And then, but we were there for a little bit. And then we went to Fort Greely, Fairbanks, Anchorage, Utkayavik, wherever Denali is. It's just Denali, I guess. Yeah. It's such a big park. And Delta Junction, which was kind of, I can't remember the highways, but this kind of little triangle-y area down the south area. Not quite down near Juneau and Sitka on the coast, but so we did a good amount inland stuff. So the next trip we're planning is doing more the coastal southeast and southwest.
Was the only flight you had to take was up to Utkayavik?
Utkayavik. And I think I'm saying that right.
I can't believe I got
we looked
it
up, and I'm pretty sure, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering it.
No, but is that
Inuit
like the
people.
only place where you had to?
Yeah, we
take
just did that because it would have been
Was
so
it like
long
a
to
little
drive.
puddle jumper, or was it like a regular small?
It was Alaskan Airlines.
Okay.
And they were real nice. And it was funny because I think, we had a connection in Prudhoe Bay, and which was interesting because that is like, maybe 12, 20 seats in the whole air. It's like you walk, there's no terminal. You just walk out to the plane, like that kind of place. And so
Jim will be flying your plane today.
yeah, and it was funny because we had every single flight we ever took in Alaska, it was the same guy on the intercom. He was really, really, he was really enthusiastic and had a great, like, happy voice. And
Yeah.
Amy, we were leaving, the pilot, like, we didn't know who that voice was, but it was funny because Amy, like, said, "Oh, you're the happy guy," or something like that. And it wasn't him. We found out later because then we later saw the guy talking on another flight. And we were like, "Oh, that's why that guy looked at you weird." Like, what is he talking about? What's that lady talking about?
But that was the only place where you had to take a flight.
Yeah. We only took a flight up to Takayavik, and otherwise we drove. So we had her
Okay.
car. So that would be the only other expense that people would need to do. Otherwise, like, everybody could do what we did. Like,
Yeah.
if
you don't
if
have
you're willing to
somebody up
tent camp and stuff.
there- Yeah. If you don't have
Just
somebody
rent
up
a car.
there, you're going to have to rent a car.
Yes, but if you know Amy, give her a holler.
Yeah. You can reach her at
No,
one. No,
I know.
just
I'm like,
kidding.
oh God.
Yeah. What was the longest between two areas you all visited, like a car ride?
4 to 6 hours. I don't know. Did we do a 6? I can't remember if we did a 6-hour drive. 4 hours would probably be 4, 6.
Maybe a stupid question, but when you were driving, did you kind of feel like you were wasting time, or?
No, because usually we'd have a couple 2-hour drives, and those weren't that
Okay.
bad. Like, so I think of whatever, if it was 4 or 6 was one of our longer ones. Like to Denali, I think was 4 from Anchorage.
And you stayed there. You didn't turn around and come back.
Yeah,
So,
we stayed there
yeah.
for 3 days, and then or 2, 3 total of 3 days, and then so everything else was either like 4 or less. So
Okay.
it wasn't that bad. And sometimes we did a couple things at the end where we would drive to a destination because we wanted to wake up somewhere
Yeah.
and be there and not save the driving for the morning. And so it was kind of cool to like drive at night and see the sunset, which also their moon came out. Well, the moon came our same
Yeah.
moon came out, but I was asking her, and I don't think she's paid much attention or is sure, but I think we both came to the conclusion that their sun never actually rises all the way up into the sky, which makes
Okay.
sense. I think. I don't know, but I noticed it because I was like, it looked, that kind of larger on the
Yeah.
horizon. And I was like, does it ever get, it just stayed that way the whole time. And it was cool because,
Yeah.
who wants a tiny moon? I want a big moon. But anyway, so we'd wake up, we'd get somewhere and pitch the tent in the dark. And then wake up and be like, where are we? And we're like, oh my God, like, it's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
so we kind of got into that at the end. So we might try and do that a little bit more next time, but
I'm just picturing you accidentally pitching a tent in like a McDonald's parking lot or something. Like, where are we? Oh,
yeah, I know. Well, it's funny because like the rules sound like in Alaska is like if there's no sign that says no camping or private property, you can camp there.
but you said some of the places you had to have a permit to camp.
Some
Denali?
like for like national parks and stuff.
Okay.
But or any state parks sometimes they'll have like a fee, but it just depends. Like we only ran into that once. Then we ended up not even staying there that night. We were like, that was one of those nights where we were like, let's just drive there tonight and wake
Yeah.
up in Seward Seward, I think is how you say it. Yes.
Seward's Folly.
Seward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it. Okay, kind of alone, but did you run into, do you think more locals or tourists?
Probably more tourists. So like Denali, obviously we had people,
Right.
there was a lot of people at our campsite. I think there was like 30 spots at that one.
Oh, wow.
Some of them have like 6, depending on what kind. Like ours allowed a car. The one that was like the next mile marker was like 6 or 7 like sites that were for tent only. So no cars. So, and then Wait, what was the question now? I've forgotten.
Did you run into more
people.
locals
Yeah.
or tourists, you think?
It's Kajavik, there was like, it was all locals.
Okay.
So that was cool too. In Valdez, we kind of went there. That I think is a tourist town. They were just at the end of their season for like our tour guides on the kayak were like real young, and I was like, God, why didn't I go do this life? Like they're just like, now I'm going to Yellowstone or whatever. They just hop around for the seasons, and so we were actually like 2 days after, and then they were closed down for the year. So we got one of the last.
Do you know the story? You know Draplin, right?
What?
Draplin, the designer, Aaron James Draplin.
Probably.
He's one of the most probably world famous graphic designers.
I probably would recognize all his work.
Field Notes has the state posters.
Yes.
He just came to Knoxville.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but he talks in his speech about how he had to save up to get a computer because his parents couldn't afford one. Mm-hmm. So he, for like 3 years or something, that's what he would do during the summertime is he would go to Alaska, but he was like a busboy in a restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't get to see any fun shit. He was like, oh, no, he was a huge snowboarder. So he's like, we would go snowboarding all the time. He's like, and then he showed a photo of him like in his garb from busing. And it was just like, it was miserable.
Yeah.
To be up there and then be crammed into a little hovel over a sink.
Yeah, this sounds like this should be like a tour guide.
Yeah.
That would be the way to go. It's
yeah.
But like one of them had a geology, I guess, major, I think it was. Or was it, so, they had some background in this stuff.
Sure.
But I think she said she started like selling ice cream in Yellowstone or something at a stand, like you said. So then worked your way up and met people and.
I wonder, it used to be back in the day, it was really hard to get a job as a park ranger. I wonder if it's harder or easier now.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like if people are listening, they're just going to be like, you guys, because I feel like I've met people that know this and they've told me there's like different kinds. Like you can work for the government, you can also work for something that's not part of this.
Oh, really?
The park, but like, or depending on what kind of ranger you are, like, or you can like. Because there was somebody that we knew, Nicholas Mann, he used to be in Knoxville. He went out west I think that's what he's doing. He was in a lot of school for it. So that took I think at least a year and a half or 2 years or something, or maybe longer.
Yeah, well, God, this is going to be a totally East Tennessee thing to say. My uncle's ex-wife's kid's son, he went to UT and studied all this stuff to become a park ranger. But then when he graduated, he was a year older than me. But I think then when he applied, it was still like a 6-year waiting list or something.
Oh, wow.
But I'm curious if like kids nowadays, if it's that kind of thing is waning, you know what I mean? So where it might be easier now, or is it harder now? Are there less jobs? These are all big questions that people are shouting at home.
Yeah.
They're not shouting at home.
I wish.
Yeah. Okay, so you said more locals on the northern tip, but like Denali, it was more tourists.
Yeah, definitely. Oh God, and we got stuck on that bus with them. It was like, I wanted to take like a video, but I couldn't do it because I think someone would have seen me, and I didn't want people. But I wanted to be like, basically like when we pull over for an animal, and everybody flocks to the windows, and they're like taking all these pictures, and we just wanted to be like behind them and making faces or something. And I was like, I was like, why don't we bring beer or something?
Pass it
but
down.
So let's see, Valdez. Yeah, so we were with a small group, which was nice. Like our tour guide had 6 people. So but there was 2 sets of us on the main boat, and then we once we got in the kayaks, because they had to boat us out to the glaciers and stuff. Okay. And then we had 2 little groups, and they kind of both migrated their own ways, and then we ate lunch together, and then we got back in the water. So we weren't all like right next to each other. Okay. And then on the hikes though, like, a lot of these were just off the road. Like as we were driving, so we
Yeah.
would do a lot of hikes on our way to another destination. And so those usually we were alone, or if we'd just run into there. It seemed like there was a lot of people still up
Okay.
there. I don't know if,
Maybe it's the season.
yeah. And we also were going to a lot of places that are like places you should go kind of
Yeah.
thing, you know? Like we stopped at, oh God, Wrangell St. Elias National Park, but we didn't really, like we went to the visitor center and she got a map so she can come, because she lives there, so she's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to come back. But it was just a fun drive past it. But yeah, so there was people sprinkled around, but we could easily get away, especially when we were in Hatcher Pass. We didn't really run into many people because we were there late too, like doing a later hike. Like we hiked till almost, it was dark. And then that was really nice. I think we ran into one person on the whole hike out there.
So that is the preferred. Is to
I think so, yeah. Especially like,
if you're going
or
all
if you
the way
see
up
other
there.
people that are like hikers, it's fine. I don't
Yeah.
care. But it's like the people that you're like, like they just scream tourists, and they're just like.
Now I'm curious. Do you, foreign people or like
Oh, yeah,
Australians and I always think of Australians.
A lot of Asians were there, so yeah, I think that was primarily probably because I wonder if flights aren't that
yeah,
bad.
that's true.
I don't know, but
Okay.
yeah, there was I think people from all. We met a really cool guy from Poland too in Denali in our campsite. That because we would tell each other, we're like, because we missed a show of the Northern Lights one night, and then we were like, because we got up and we missed it, we like tried to see it. But anyway, so he was like, oh, I was like, what? Come wake us up if you're up and you see it. And then he was like, yeah, me too. Like we're down around the corner.
Yeah.
And so it was just funny because then later we just would, if we'd see him, we'd be like, where'd you hike today? Or
Yeah.
And that was Denali was actually all of Alaska was the first time I'd actually really been scared of nature. Like,
Oh, really?
because, well, I haven't, first of all, I'm from the Midwest. I got into 3 different grad schools, and I chose Tennessee for a few reasons, but one of the biggest ones is because it was the only one that was out of the Midwest, and I was like, I need to like go to a different landscape. And East Tennessee is awesome, and but like a lot, like I don't know, you run into black bears around here. They're most of the time, and we ran into one very close over, like eating berries over the trail in Yosemite last year, and I should be scared of them, but I know that most of the time they're much more worried about me. But like grizzlies and polar bears and moose, like I've never been around that. And those guys, I don't know. And Denali is so isolated. Like we're in, Smoky Mountains. Like bears tend to know people, and they understand them a little bit, or they're a little, in my head, maybe no animal's predictable, but I don't know. I feel like Denali was like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And really it was more about like coming upon them on accident than like thinking like this bear's going to hunt me. Like, no, they're not going to.
Yeah.
It was because there was parts where there's not a lot of like established trails. It's kind of like that one road, and then you're just like backcountry is so.
Okay.
There would be some parts where it's just woods. And then we did that like the first night we did a little hike in the woods, and we were like, we had bear spray, but really I don't know what that would have, depending on the situation, maybe that would have helped, but otherwise, who knows? But we were just like, I just was like, I don't know, I feel kind of paranoid. But the longer I was in Alaska, the less I got a little more confident, and I felt like that with glaciers too, like hiking on them. They are technically dangerous to go hike on or be near, especially during during the spring is even more, because the ice is thawing for the first time.
Yeah.
So stuff shifts and moves and can collapse any minute if you're like in a cave, or, even like the ground underneath you can be, if you're walking on ice, it can just make a crevasse and just take you. So, but it was kind of exhilarating at the same time. I was like, if I'm going to go out, this is better than going out than like by somebody texting while they're driving and killing me that way. I'm like, yeah. If a glacier is going to collapse on me, I'll accept it.
I like how it's no longer drunk driver hitting me. It's a texting driver.
I normally think drunk driver or texter, but then I was like, yeah, no, texting would be just
texting.
Oh, so angry if I could have been angry, but I'm dead. So,
Here's some.
It can't be.
Here's some great podcasting. When I see people on the phone when they're driving, even though it's become a law, but back in the day when it wasn't a law, I would literally try to catch their view in their rear view and do this. Mm-hmm. And then I realized much later that if they were under the age of 30, they don't know what the hell this means.
Yeah, he's doing the phone gesture.
Yeah, to hang up your phone.
Yeah. I know. And I was actually thinking about that driving home today, and I was like, remember when like they passed that law? And then I bet now everybody's forgotten and nobody cares because the poor Knoxville cops are so understaffed that I don't know where they are, but they're not on the highway like they are in Kansas, like out to get you. They're just like,
oh really?
Oh yeah, they are out sitting around all the time, like clocking people. And
if you go into some outer counties around here, it's revenue for them.
Yeah, I think especially in the Midwest because they just speed really fast, and it can.
And if a friend of mine whose family is still in Colorado, he's from Colorado, he would come back to Knoxville to drive back, and he may have brought some produce with him.
Uh-huh.
And he said when he went to leave, I think he told me like the first time that became legal, owning produce, coming back, somebody was like, do not do it. Because they're literally sitting on the other edge of the border waiting on you.
I was thinking about that about any of the states that legalize it, like driving and even like TSA in just within the state, like being a little more diligent about people coming in and out. But
yeah, there's a place just south. I don't even remember what county it's in, but one of my uncles, I'm gonna do air quotes when I say that. One of my uncles, him and my aunt were driving to Chattanooga, but they drove the back way all the way down. He said they hit some godforsaken county, and it dropped from like 50 on Kingston Pike was at that point, down to like 25 or 30.
Oh, whoa.
And he said there were 3 cops sitting right there.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
And they were just tagging people. And he said he's retired. So he got the ticket, and he looked at the guy and said, I guess I'll see you in court. And he went and fought like hell. And because there were only 3 officers in that town, he beat it.
Yeah. Well,
they weren't there to, but he was just like, it was such bullshit. Like there was not a sign.
That's not fair.
There was a sign the minute it changed.
There also should be like a buffer zone, right?
Yeah, with no prelim. And it's also the difference between like 50 and 25.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, oh yeah, they're just sitting there. He's like, because they're just betting that people who are traveling through will never come back. He's like, I'm retired. I got all the time in the world.
Yeah.
I'm going to come down here and fight it.
Yeah. Unless the only place I know off the top of my head is like out towards House Mountain, like on Rutledge. I think, is it Rutledge? Yeah. That there's a school zone, but that's like a flashing light.
Yeah.
So you're going like I feel like if there is something that significant, there should be some sort of warning. Or
that's like even if you go up through Sevier County and some of those places where it's like 35 miles an hour on a 6-lane road. It's like, this is insane. Like, I understand it when it's busy, but there have been times I've been driving up there on like a Tuesday at 10 a.m. And nobody's out there. I was like, if I drive 35 miles an hour, I will feel like I'm not getting anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's just so... I got pulled over one time doing a 74 and a 45. And the only reason I got up to 74 is because it was nighttime, and the cop got behind me and started pushing me.
Oh, that's
like he
not
was riding
nice.
my bumper. So I was probably doing like 60, 65. And he started pushing me, and I gassed it to get a little, because I just felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then he flipped his lights. He was like, I clocked you at 74. I was like, well, you pushed me probably up X amount. Yeah.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a source of amount. Yeah.
Did you see a lot of Rangers when you were in Denali or any of the other places?
There was like a campsite. What do you call it? Like somebody on the campground that hung out there in case if somebody ever needed something, and he would walk around like once. But he wasn't. I don't know if he was actually a ranger or, not. I mean, unless we were at the visitor center. No, not out and about.
Okay. Did you do anything to prepare? Or you said you're already kind of like an avid hiker. But did you ramp it up knowing that you would not have a lot of downtime?
Well, No, I mean, there wasn't a lot. Luckily, because she's got double the gear because of the Army and then her own personal stuff. So, like, I didn't have to pack my camping stuff, which was, or most of it, like the main stuff. Like, I had a bag. She had an extra bag and a pad and had the tent and all that stuff. So that was really convenient for me not to have to lug that up there. But I've done camping. Andrew and I have gone camping a lot around here and a little bit in Arkansas.
Okay.
It's Arkansas? Yeah, Sam's Throne. Anyway, so no, and we really didn't do anything like super intense.
Okay.
Because like I said, it was kind of more like exploring a little bit of all these places. And so, yeah.
Food. What did you do for food?
Oh, yeah. So this was another way I saved money. Was I shipped a box of Trader Joe's up to Alaska, flat rate, $20.
Unofficial
shipped
sponsor
probably like
of
$70 or $80 worth of food.
Nice.
And it was mostly trail food, like just camping stuff.
Yeah.
So like nothing perishable. And then we ate, that allowed us to eat out like twice or so.
When you showered.
Yes, when we got fancy, we became human again, and we were like, I was really proud of myself. I was like, I don't stink that bad. I'm pretty like. I was like,
and Amy's yelling at her speakers right now, going, "Yeah, you did."
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. One time, in Valdez, we did eat. I think after the iceberg kayaking, I felt like so. I don't know, like just
famished.
Oh no, I was like, felt like a king. I was like, I'm gonna order everything, and like I can buy the most expensive. Like everything was expensive there because we were at a seafood place, and it was all caught right there, which is the only reason I got it. Because normally I don't eat seafood, but I was like, I'm in Alaska, I'm gonna eat.
Oh yeah.
Some fresh food that's caught like where we were just kayaking, and what did we get? Mussels and. I think we ended up getting fish and chips, which I kind of regretted because they weren't as amazing as I was hoping. But the mussels were amazing, and I just kept being like, yes, and a drink, and like I normally I never spend money like big amount of money, especially on drinks out. Like I'm so like I will drink before I go to dinner. Like I'm like that penny pincher. I think it's just from being a poor college student for so long, and that it's like continued after I've been graduated for a long time and have a real job. And so I'm trying. Yeah. And then we ate out in Utqiagvik, which was this place called Sam. If you ever go there, you need to eat at Sam and Lee's.
Okay.
It's just an Asian restaurant. I think they have everything really though, but but they had really good food, and it was cold in the night. Like when we first got there in the evening, I said we were there for 24 hours. So we like got there at like 7 or so, and then stayed and left till like 5 the next day or something.
Yeah.
So like we walked on the beach and hung out, and it got real chilly at night, and it was also the wind with the Arctic and everything in the ocean. And by the way, the sunset was like at 11:30. They call it the midnight sunset, it was probably totally dark by midnight, but they were open till 2 a.m. and I was like, oh, we're so cold. So we got really, really spicy food, hot food, and I got some vegetable kung pao thing or something. I don't know. It was really good.
Vegetable kung pao.
Yeah, something. I was just like, can you guys just like sub meat for more veggies? And they were like, yeah.
That's funny.
Where else did we? I'm trying to think of like any other place we actually ate food that wasn't from our car.
Yeah. It wasn't granola.
I actually, when I got home, Andrew, I was like, I think I want to go out to eat. I just want hot, like fresh food because we'd eaten like packet, like just Trader Joe trail food like for so long. We would stop at like Fred Meyer, which is their Kroger up north. I think you can actually use your Kroger card there. Your like value card.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard of Myers.
Well, I think that's the same thing.
Myers is the Midwest, right?
If it's a red sign, I think so.
It
might be the same thing.
I was trying to, again, great for a podcast. I joke. I went to Trader Joe's because somebody posted some image of maple butter, cinnamon bun spread.
Yeah.
And so
don't buy either of those things. I tried to, but I bought one for Amy. Now listen, this is why. Because I bought that maple butter intending to put it in a package for Amy to send up.
Yeah.
And then I ate it, and then I was like, okay, let's try this again. I'm going to buy it. And it was just like, I was just eating it with the freaking spoon, and it's not okay because it's just sugar. It's just like whipped maple syrup.
I can't keep cookie butter in my house because I'll eat the entire jar. So I was just in North Carolina. I am a rabid donut fan. I found this tiny, literally hole-in-the-wall donut shop. Mm-hmm. They had cookie butter donuts.
Oh,
I took one bite, and my friend who I was with, Deanne, she was just like, I'm assuming it's really good. I was like, my eyes got the size of saucers. I was like,
oh, that does sound good.
Fun. But I got that maple butter, the cinnamon bun
that
spread.
Thing, don't buy that. I learned my lesson because I didn't bring that home.
Pumpkin butter. And then
butter's fine.
2 different kinds of maple syrup. One of them's bourbon barrel aged. One of them's vanilla bean. And then what I've gotten hooked on is Toscano cheese black pepper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the black pepper one.
But those 2 maple syrups were like $10 a piece, and one of them's tiny.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm already in at this point.
Yeah, but we actually we do these food tastings once a week at work.
Yeah.
Assuming we're not like slammed with, business or whatever, but we will pick a topic and educate everybody and each other on it. And one of them was syrup. And so basically, like, if it's not from Vermont or Canada, like, don't buy it. And that's why I think those are so expensive, because they're actually good.
And just for clarification, when you say don't buy, you mean
I say as in like,
don't buy because it's so delicious.
Yeah, don't buy it because it's like you'll just eat it. I mean, like all of it in an unhealthy serving.
So Kim, who owns It's Also Yummy Cafe, she made fun of me because I posted that picture. And I was like, I think my quote was, I win at basicing today.
You win at what?
Basicing.
Oh, basicing.
Like, it's like, because it's all that. And she's like, you missed the cookie butter. I was like, I also missed the something lime seasoning.
Chili
lime seasoning.
Yeah, I need to give that another shot. I'm not as crazy about that.
I wasn't. It's a little too tart for me. Like, I feel like I'd like to have more chili and less lime. Like, it's super.
Yeah. The God, I could talk about churches forever. Like, 21 seasoning, the everything but the bagel, of course. If you haven't tried it,
maybe I need to just get a list from you of here's all the things you need.
Or just next time you're there, just ask if I'm there, and I'll be your personal shopper. And
okay.
I'll be like, here, let me just give me your bag. I'll put everything in there.
I will say the one thing that is, other than the cookie butter, that is like my crack there are those little gorgonzola crackers. Mm-hmm. Holy, I will eat an entire box of those. Yeah. And like once I'll cut up cheese and put them on them, I'm just like, oh God, I could eat.
Bomba is that's where I'm like, why do I eat a whole bag of this every time? And it's only a dang $1.
Yeah, now that there's wine there, so my trick has been every time I'm in there, I buy at least 2 bottles of $5 or less wine. Mm-hmm. And I keep it in my house, and then when I go to a party, I always have wine. Yep. And I always pick the ones with the best design labels because they look super swanky. And I was like, that cost me all of $4.
I'm curious which ones you buy then, because the labels, some of them are just so like.
One of them,
there's so many different labels.
One of them, my friend Krista had, and she was like, it was terrible. But she was like, I'm also a super big wine snob. So
the wine was terrible, or the label?
The wine.
Oh, okay.
The label was amazing.
Awesome? Yeah. Well, then,
yeah. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
It was also some weird one on the... Good Lord. Yeah, we're deep diving. It was on the back wall, so it wasn't like a Cabernet or anything. It was a weird flavor.
An old world one?
Yeah, it was a weird flavor. I was like, I don't know. I just got it, and she came over. She did 2 episodes of these with me just telling dating stories. So I was like, I feel like I got to get you a little drunk if you're going to.
Yeah.
And she ended up didn't. She just took it home with her, and she texted me later, and she's like, that sucked. I was like, well, fuck, you're in Indiana now, so ha-ha.
That sucked. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's... Yeah. Used to, when I wasn't contracting out that way, anytime I was out that way, I would stop in there and I would stop at Smokey's, the cigar shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I would pick up a few things. Because, like, well, if I'm out here seeing a movie or just out here for a meeting or something, I was like, I'm going to pop in here. There's been a lot of times, and I may actually have a ticket soon because there's one day where traffic was just god-awful. And he'd say there's been a lot of times the traffic's god-awful, I will stop in Trader Joe's because I'm like, I'm going to poke around here for 10 minutes hoping that traffic has alleviated. But I took a back way, and I didn't realize coming over the Weisgarber that there was a camera there.
Uh-oh.
And everybody...
I think I might have got a ticket. It's going to be coming to my house.
Same. Because everybody was lined up in the left-hand lane to get on the interstate, and I was in the right-hand lane because I knew I was going straight. Mm-hmm. Well, as I get up there, there was a car turning left and just turned right in front of me. And I could slow down enough to miss that car, but I couldn't stop at that light. Mm-hmm. So I went on through. I didn't see the light go off. I saw it like 3 seconds after. And I was like, maybe it got the car behind me. I'm hoping it got the car behind me.
Now I'm like, now I know why people put those little, like, which I don't know how they're legal sometimes, but like those covers on the like film or whatever on their license plate. I'm like,
that's one of those though. I was like, man, if you're going to do these damn cameras, somebody should have to review that because they could clearly see that there was nothing I could do there. Like it was going to cause, I think, the car behind me to hit me if I would have jammed. Like there's no perfect thing here. I will tell a funny story of my dad. He was getting off of an exit. And he's like, damn it, I stopped. And then we got the camera footage. We never even saw the brake lights. He just tore right through. And we're like, oh, you stopped, eh? Yeah, I see how it is. But you did. I'm the same way. If I travel on any of the coasts, that's about the only time I'll eat seafood. Because it's like, because I know it's fresh. I was in Folly Beach outside Charleston, and you could literally see them bringing in the fish into the back of the restaurant. I was like, I'll take fish tacos, all the different fish tacos you have.
Yeah.
You mentioned Yellowstone earlier. So do you want to go to a lot of the national parks, or have you been to a bunch of the national parks?
I've been to Yosemite.
Yosemite.
But Yellowstone was something one of the kayak tours
That's
had
right.
done.
That's right.
So
Yosemite.
Andrew and I went last year to Yosemite. I'm actually about the same time I went to Alaska, so it was almost like a year.
Nice.
There was like a flashback.
Yeah.
For like when we got Camp 4, we secured a spot at Camp 4 in Yosemite, like when I was up in Alaska, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, definitely. I after Yosemite, that's why I'm like wanting to do 2 big trips a year now if I can financially keep going on it. I have a bunch saved up that really for emergencies, and I'm just kind of like, we we paid off all our debt, like my student loans and the house, and so it's
that's awesome.
Our cars, so now Andrew has a car we're paying off, but that's okay. So anyway, I've been just putting money aside for really like the animal's gonna get sick at some point or injured, like drop a bunch of money there. So until then, I'm just gonna like hang out and maybe try to travel. And
I've got friends who swear by pet insurance. Like one of my friends, she has 2 dogs, and she's like, if it wasn't for pet insurance, I would have been out a lot of money.
Well, but I guess if I would maybe do that if I wonder if they maybe have something that's like a prescription or something or maybe have health issues or repeated.
That I don't know. I don't know if they check up on the pets or what.
Yeah, I guess they do have some sort of deal, like you can take them and get all their annual shots and do you don't pay anything to see them anymore if you have it, or I don't know. But
okay.
I just roll the dice.
Anyway, so you're saved up, so you're looking at.
Yeah, so now I'm I've got an itch to go travel now, and there's so much, even just in the States, like you don't even have to leave. It's just like there's so much amazing things, and honestly, like I want to try to go up to a lot of these places with like before things change dramatically, because a lot of times everybody says someday I would love to go there. And I actually had a lot of people on Instagram like message me, that some people I didn't even know, that were just like, wow, how'd you do this? And I'm like, well, like I really am believing in seize the day kind of thing right now, because I don't know. I went through a lot of stuff this year personally, and so it's kind of just like, what are you waiting for? And I'm trying to get that reactivated in my studio life, because I've kind of been a little dormant, honestly, like, or not producing like I have been, because I've been either just been working so much at Trader Joe's, and then that place is so much fun, but it's also like kind of insane. Like, it's just like chaos half the time, but like organized chaos. But like mentally, I just get really drained there. So when I get off work, I want to go outside and hike, and so I feel like right now I'm in this mode of like art wise, like just absorbing a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm not making a lot, which is really frustrating. And I know a lot of people have been through this before, and it's kind of the first time where I've slowed down since school, and that's freaking me out a little bit. But I'm like really, really anxious to get back in the studio. Like, I have so many things that I want to attack, but I kind of am powering through this holiday season, because now at retail, as in charge of like displays at a grocery store, like this is our busiest time. So
I was going to say, did this trip inspire any kind of art piece you've been doodling?
Yeah, well, I haven't. That was the thing, is like I just finally auditioned. Like, I feel like I want to wrap up some other projects that I'm like not ready to let go. So like finally auditioned to my seahorse. Like, and it was a super annoying long process, because I just would print one layer and then be done with that, and then like weeks or a month later I'd print the other one. But it was basically like 2 layers of monotype. And
walrus.
The walrus one was the one I did.
Oh, okay. You said seahorse, and I see the walrus.
Oh, sorry. All those on the table right there.
Oh, okay.
Are all my 15 editions.
I was like, did you just have the worst brain fart ever, and you just called a walrus a seahorse?
Yes. But yeah, the walrus is over there too.
Okay.
But, so that was just really tedious, because it's like 2 layers of monotype and an engraving, and printed and cut out and then sheen collared onto it. So now that that's done, I've been wanting to do stuff with plastic. Can't get away from plastic. And that was something I did a lot up in Alaska. It was just like this beautiful wilderness, and especially up in Utqiagvik, where that tundra will like go above and below sea level, and there's just so much trash. And I was just like, I have this weird thing where I know that the amount that I'm literally picking up is so small. And a lot of people would say it doesn't make a difference, but I'm at the same time, I'm like, if I, in my brain consciously, I'm like, if you see it and you're able to pick it up, you should pick it up, because who are you to be too good to pick that piece of trash up? Are you too, like, is there some reason that's so bad? Like, and so there was at one point where Amy and I were walking, and I was like, crap, that is a huge piece of tarp. And I saw it, and I thought about it, and I was like, I gotta get it. I have to, and I had to carry that damn thing on our like 3 miles or something, which is not that long, but I mean, it was just more like
cumbersome.
I can't, once I decide that, I'm like, no, well, now if you turn away, you're turning your back on it, and I can't do it. And so I look like a crazy person, but
I've gotten made fun of for friends, because if I'm on a road trip, I will save any piece of plastic or any piece of recycling I get, throw it in the back of my car, usually in a bag, bring it home and recycle it. I was like, because most places, if you stay in a hotel, there's no recycling in a hotel.
And I did that when I taught governor's school last year, because I didn't know if they had it, and I honestly didn't trust them. Yeah. Because I think sometimes they'll like just take it and throw it away. I don't know. But so I was there for 3 weeks teaching, and I had a trash bag in my whatever hotel room they had us in or whatever. And I just had this huge bag of my own to take back to Knoxville and recycle.
I've done that when I've been like, one trip I took up to Jersey, and it was like 10 days. And I had a large, like a kitchen garbage bag in between the front seat and back seat of my car. And my friends who live up there would make fun of me, because all of a sudden I'd walk out with like 5 bottles or something and just chuck them in there. It's like, nope, these are going home with me.
Yeah.
We talked about kind of got started on the walrus print. Yeah. So for folks who don't know, what do you do for a living?
Oh, yeah. So my day job is I work full-time at Trader Joe's in Knoxville. Yeah. And I am their lead sign artist there. There's actually 5 of us total now. I'm training 3 of them. 1 of them is out on surgery, but we have a team there. So if you go there, you'll see my work as well as possibly some other people's. So because I'm wanting to eventually become more full-time art, my stuff, which I was just talking about, struggling with trying to have enough time and energy for, which I think a lot of people struggle with. Everybody's got to make money.
Don't get me started.
And so, yeah,
You've heard me rant.
And I'm like, I am just so stubborn, as many people who know me understand that I'm that way. I just cannot. That's one of my worst fears, is to quit making work after grad school. So like, I'm so lucky that I get to make work, literally make art for my day job, but it's the content is where I'm like, I need fulfillment in the content.
Right.
Like I love Trader Joe's, but it's not my soul. So outside of there, I have a studio at the Vacuum Shop Studios, which is on Broadway, and I have a couple presses, and that's what my degree is, in printmaking. So I'm a printmaker. I primarily do engravings, and been using a lot of monotype lately, but I recently did a workshop at Aramont, which I'd always taught at Aramont, but I'd never taken a full week national class, and I was so excited I got to do that this summer. I took kind of, again, another one of the benefits I'm finally seeing of after years and years of being so aggressive with paying my loans off. Like, I was very aggressive in, so now I'm able to finally do fun things like that. Yeah. Like, I'm like, I'm an adult and I can go take a workshop. And so my friend Emmy Lingshite, who I went to grad school with, she was a year ahead of me at UT, was teaching a reductive lino cut class. And I have done that a few times in my life, but I'd never really used it in my own practice. And so it was one of those, I'm like, I understand it, but she's awesome, and I want to see her little way she did it. So I was able to knock out a print in a week, which was awesome. Yeah. Except, of course, being an engraver and trying to do like a reductive woodcut or lino cut, I basically made like each layer like a key image, so detailed that like it took me forever, and everybody else, I was like racing to get it done, and ended up having her ship me the registration jig so I could finish it. So like that one right behind you is the one that has the 3 colors on it versus the blue. Yeah. And
that's the one I
yes. Okay. So so that was great to be able to do that. And that one was
what are the 3 colors?
It's like just different steps of that pink. And that one may not be as good of a example. And again, I need to try again with reductive. I probably didn't utilize that method as well as I could have. I think I cut away too much in the first layer, but again, I've just been hooked on the water, like ever since I did this turtle print. I mean, I did a couple I did a Philippine, eagle and a okapi, but I've been really hooked on the water lately. And I think it's also because these monotypes I've been doing are so like the colors are just, I don't know.
They're stark.
I just like it a lot. Yeah. Like it's like Rothko's paintings, kind of like not my work at all is like his. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. But I meant the color. Like I think it's Gamblin's ink. Like I feel like I don't have to do much with their ink, and it's kind of what the nature of blend rolls happen too. But it's just so, I don't know. Even like before I put the Shinkale, the animals onto it, I'm like, I kind of just like it. Like I want to print it really big, but I need a really, really large roller to do that and make it nice and smooth. But, so I don't know. I've just been very mindful of, it's just been I don't know. It's been very defeating and helpless feeling sometimes with plastic and just pollution, and just because so many people are just, not necessarily that they don't care. I think there's a lot of people that do care and just are honestly just straight up so deep in their own stuff and don't have time to worry about that, or don't feel like that's something that they can worry about. But I think, I don't know, no matter what's going on in your life, like this is your base, this is your home, and it's everybody's. It doesn't matter. It sucks. That just do what you can, like whatever it is, even if it's not much, like do something, like eat less beef, like right there.
How
like
dare
that
you.
Out of all
podcast's over. Sorry.
Podcast. I know. Well, I mean, like of all animals, like
cows,
just try not to eat as much. That would be one. Or like don't reproduce. Like,
oh my God. there's a little bit of difference in those two.
Well,
Don't
that's
eat
why
it.
I was saying a few. That's like what
Yeah.
they've said. Like the biggest things that can help with like climate changes is not reproducing and don't drive a car. Don't drive a car. And then I think beef is up there too. But those are obviously like things that are really either a lot of people aren't going to do that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and I drive a car and I don't take public transportation. I should, but it's just like
It's
you do what you
harder.
can, you know.
It's harder down here.
I just finally, you know, not that I, you know, I never asked for straws, but I got my own little straw, like kit.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like all these little things are just like training yourself like to have habits. And like, even like reusable bags, like what's simple as that. Like so many customers talk about like, oh, I keep finding it. I'm like, I'll wait for you.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes they go run out and sometimes they're like, oh no. And we don't even have plastic bags though anymore. So it doesn't even matter.
I'm bad about when I go to the grocery store using the plastic bags, but I am obscene about collecting them and bringing them back to be recycled.
Yeah.
Because I also learned years ago, it's like, oh yeah, you can't put those in your normal recycling. You need to take those back to the grocery store because they'll actually redo and reuse.
Oh my God. This is on my list.
I try, but it's also like, I swear to God, every time I go to the grocery store, I have no idea how much. I could walk out there with like two hand carts full or three things.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I haven't gotten to the habit. Once I get in the habit.
Well, and I think that's what and I'm also very habitual, so it may be much easier for me to develop and breaking habits. That's another story. But like, I am also not an expert on any of this stuff. It's just like things and I think that's what I want my work to do is just kind of, I learn as I experience and talk to people and like, just, it's really almost like perspective shifts. That's all that I think it takes for most people. And that's what, like, just having casual conversations and being like, oh, I never thought about that before.
Yeah.
Like because it's so easy to be divorced from so many things. Like even the recycling system, like so many people, as they call it, like wish cycling now. I've heard this term, like where they're like, it's just a feel good thing when actually it's so much, I mean, for companies, it's so much more money to actually use a reusable plastic or recyclable plastic. And like, unfortunately, money drives so much and you have to, that's why aluminum is like the best thing to recycle because you get the most out of it, you know, like, and they're talking about the bags and everybody, like even at work, we struggle with this, like, what the hell can I recycle? What can't I? And there's actually a lot less that you really can. And then I was reading an article about, I can't remember where it was, or it must have been when I was traveling at some point, but they all went to streamlining everything from, you know, they used to have to separate everything. And I think a lot of cities did that.
Yeah.
And that was intended to help save money or time or whatever, but it ended up messing up stuff so much that now it's costing everybody money and China doesn't want our stuff anymore. And, you know, it's like, so it's almost like hard to be like, well, oh God. And this is something I want to do is like take my Trader Joe's work and like apply it to almost like trying to get people to, I don't know, just be aware or conscious of it whenever you can. Cause I know it's like, I feel like it's a lot to ask. Everybody's always so busy and so stressed out and nobody has any time. And I'm like, we don't have to live like that. That's culture kind of like shaping us to be that way, especially like the iPhone's only been out for a decade. That's it. Yeah. Like, and we've already adapted this 24 cycle. Like, I mean, the internet has just exponentially become so much more interweaved in our lives. And it's like, I feel like sometimes if you're not, like, we indirectly or subconsciously feel like, oh, they're working harder than me. Like, they're exhausted. I should be exhausted. If I'm not exhausted, I'm not working hard enough. And like, so anyway, I'm just lately in my life trying to be like, you know, I'm going to refocus on what's important and try and figure it out. Like prioritize what's important and then figure the rest out. Like, because a lot of times I think people say, oh, I can't do this, or it takes sacrifice too of like other stuff. Like there's only so many hours. We all have the same hours and it's all deciding what you do with those hours. Yeah. It's not like somebody has more time or not. It's like, obviously some people have more issues and problems that come up in life and luck and privilege and
or financial
burdens. Like, or health, you know, like that. So it's again, it's just kind of like, see what little thing we're very adaptable. I think we just have to be conscious of trying to make those adaptations now. And
I think a lot of people, a lot of my friends make comments like, I can't believe you do so much. I was like, you can choose to do more.
Yeah.
Like in a day is 24 hours. Like you can do whatever. Well, no, because I got this. I was like, okay, all you're doing is prioritizing.
Yeah.
And I'm just prioritizing on doing something else.
And so my friend Gwen from grad school, I remember one time she talked to me about this, like, you like end up having these main facets in your life, like your family, your job, your, like for me, my dogs, like my domestic life, like, and then my partner and my job and my studio life and my physical health, like things like that. And those are all like things you decide are your priority in your life. If you have kids, they're obviously in there, you know? So it's like, how do you divide up those times? And sometimes one thing gets it a lot more than the other. And sometimes other things will get neglected for a really long time. And then if they're neglected long enough and you don't address it, they'll shove their way almost into an emergency where then it messes up. So I don't know. I thought that was a really good perspective of being like, I don't know, just kind of like a whack-a-mole almost, like of priorities in life. Be like, okay, kind of tap on a little bit of everything. And I've realized, like, I feel like the secret, what they say, what's the secret to life? It's like balance. Of anything. And I think
especially like working for yourself, there's this weird, and I think it's finally hit its crest and it's coming down the nature of busy. Of like anybody talks to you, they're like, how is it? Well, it's really busy.
Yeah.
When you asked me how it was earlier, I said, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm not busy. I'm overwhelmed and I'm tired. There's a difference between flossing like you're busy, like, oh, I'm doing all this stuff. No, I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm paying a little bit of a price for it. And I know I'm paying. Whereas there's a lot of people that are like, crank up I'm just hustling. Damn it, I can't remember. My buddy Adam gave me a great one. A great something hashtag. We make fun of hashtags all the time.
Yeah.
And he gave me some hashtag. I was like, oh my God, dude. I was like, I can't get over that one.
So it's like a more positive version than like saying like, oh, I'm so tired. Or
I'm making fun of like, it's hustle before sleep or something like that. Like,
oh, that's not healthy.
Well, the busy thing is more of like feigning that you're important, I guess, is another way. There's a lot of people that work for themselves that's just how they express themselves.
Yeah.
Because if you say you're busy, then you're important. You're in demand. Whereas,
yeah.
I don't know.
And I feel like everybody says they're tired or they're busy.
Yeah.
And I just feel like even if I'm actually, there's days where I'm like, I'm almost never getting quite enough sleep. But there's some days where I'm like, I'm really, really, really tired. And then I feel like I can't even say it because it just means nothing anymore.
Yeah. So last Saturday, I got up early and went to Asheville for a design workshop. And we hung out afterwards, got back home about 6:30. I was like, I'm going to lay on my couch because I can't see straight at this point. Mm-hmm. Laid on my couch at 7 o'clock, woke up at 11 o'clock, got up, went to bed, and then got up at 9 o'clock the next morning. The only reason I got up at 9 o'clock is because I had a date at 11 a.m. in Maryville. Otherwise, I probably would have laid in bed until noon because I had just just myself too hard last week.
I've done that before. Yeah, it's like, wow, that's not okay. Your body's sleeping for like 12 to 15 hours because it's half dying.
But yeah, that's a weird, I don't know, the nature of busy. But
yeah.
Okay, so next trips, other trips, you said you were planning stuff. Do you actually have stuff in mind, or is it more about finding something to explore?
It's more like, okay, Andrew didn't come with me on this trip. He just got a new job too, and he had some trips too. So I'm like, so we're kind of trying to do like trips for ourselves together, and then also like set trips on our own, which I think is always good and healthy. Yeah. And so Amy, like I say planning because I've been texting Amy since I've been gone or back, and I was like, we were talking about 2021 and coming back at a different time of the year in Alaska.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was like, I can't do it this year, but maybe like in the winter, like February, March or something. But now I'm like, maybe 2020, maybe not 2021, but not this. I mean, I can't do it this winter, but I I don't know anywhere else specifically. Andrew and I are actually going to Hawaii. His family happened to be doing a huge... They've done this once before a long time ago, and they're doing it again. And so we happened to get invited. And I was like, well, there we go. Visit those two states.
The
for
two
the first
non-contiguous
time.
states,
Yeah, in 6 months, because I've never been there before. So I'm really excited about that.
When is that?
That's in March. So that's why I can't go back to Alaska.
Yeah.
I'm like, probably need to make money to spend money. So, you know.
I'm laughing. It'll be cold and rainy here, and you'll be in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're a bastard.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to cuss you.
I've never done I've never done like a hot, like a water south trip, really, I don't think. Like maybe when I was a kid, but as an adult, I've never like gone to the beach and stayed there for more than like a day, or something.
A couple that I'm friends with, they just moved to St. Augustine, Florida, which is the oldest continuous city in the country.
Okay.
But it's a weird town in that during the day it's touristy, during night it's college town.
Huh.
And it's very like shopping and all that shit. Like it's very beach kind of town. Mm-hmm. I went there mid-August, and it's the first trip I've taken in 2 years. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And before I left, they were like, so you're going to come back in December? You're going to come back in December, right? And I was like, son of a bitch. Okay. I've got a room to stay in. It'll be nice weather down here, and I can just relax.
Yeah.
It's not Alaska, but it's also the relaxing side of it is the best.
Yeah. Well,
waking up on a Saturday morning and be like, I don't have to do anything today.
Yeah.
I don't have anything on a calendar. I don't have anything to meet.
And see, I was actually just talking to this guy at the gym who like was following me, and he's going to Banff actually next week. And so like when I came back and I knew he had followed everything. And so I was just like, it was amazing. And he's like, it looked amazing. And
my God.
Oh crap. Now what were you just saying right before
relaxing, that? Going to St. Augustine.
So yeah, we were talking about that, and I was like, I came back and I had one day off, and then I come back and it's like full blown pumpkin time at work. And so I'm like, work, this flyer's dropping and all this. So I'm like, work, and then have one day off, and then work, have one day off. And then now I have 3 days off in a row. So I'm so excited since I've been back. And so, but we were, it's kind of, you don't want to complain about being tired after you just got back from vacation. But I'm like, and then me and this guy at the gym this morning, we were like, we don't like, it's different vacation. It's like exhaust yourself. It's not the kind where you don't have an agenda, because we're like, we're going to absorb every moment of every day up here. Like,
I got into kind of a push and pull with one friend. We drove up to New York to see a play, and she is very much I just want to fly by the seat of my pants. And I was like, I have 3 things I want to do. Yeah. Outside of that, I'm fine. But I need to do these 3 things because I don't want to have just walked around and not... Yeah. She wanted to go shopping. I was like, shopping...
That's fine.
I was like, I'll do that, but you got to go see the Mets with me. Yeah. We're going to go see the Mets because that's going to be awesome. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, I'll go see the Mets. And it was like, that's kind of how that trip went. And she was like, well, I just want to hang out and have a drink. I was like, but I don't know that... It was almost one of those things of like, I don't know that I want to hang out and have a drink here. I'd rather find the place to get a drink. Yeah. And go there. Like a tiki bar or something unique. I don't want to just end up at a bar, because I can end up at a bar at home. Yeah. I want something here.
You want the bar around.
Like there's a smoke cigars, and there's a cigar bar up there that I went to that I was like, this is fucking amazing. It's almost like a library or something, like rich wood walls, books, big leather chairs, just amazing. I was like, no, I want to go there. Like, that's the place to go. So I'm a mix. The first time I ever went to New York, I had a list with 75 things on it to do in 10 days. Yeah. And in those 10 days, I think I did like 72 of those things. Hey. But some of them, it was just like go to FAO Schwartz. Oh, yeah. See the Radio City Music Hall sign. Like, it was simple shit.
I forgot about FAO Schwartz.
So I've been to New York, I think 4 times, and 2 or 3 of those times it's been at Christmas time, because at Christmas time is there, and Asheville Christmas time. I really like, Biltmore. I love.
Oh yeah, duh. I was
Biltmore.
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Asheville's weird now. It's weird because I was there Thursday night and I came home and I was there Saturday morning. My friend Deanne put it the best way. She said, used to, my husband and I could walk around and we felt like we were the only people in the city. Now there are times where the sidewalks are so crowded you can't walk. She's like, I kind of miss the old Asheville.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why people are moving here.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's people from California moving here, like, or just all over and it's because of just somewhere different that's cheaper.
I had that discussion with somebody earlier today. We were talking about they were wanting the city to grow and do all this stuff. I was like, there's two things. Hell, I can't even remember the second thing now. I was like, one of the things about this town is everything takes a little bit longer for it to actually happen. Mm-hmm. I was like, but that's good because look at Nashville. Nashville is a mess right now. Yeah. I was like, I'm actually happy that this is a little bit of a slower town. Mm-hmm. I was like, I enjoy that you don't have to worry about this or that.
Yeah. And actually, even just the hiking, like, that's kind of why I've been finding places within 2 hours, like to go somewhere else that has less people. Cause
Fall Creek Falls is going to have more people. But
well, that's where also I've been, at least right now, because we haven't had rain in at least 6 weeks or longer, that I was like, I'm on a mission to find some water. But it's like, I actually was like, is there a map that exists? I don't remember I don't think I even tried looking it up, but I'm sure like a drought map or like who's had the most recent rain and how far away are you? Like, like I will drive to the most recent region that has had rain to take my dog so she can swim in.
Whereas I'm looking up on a map where the Banana Pudding Festival is in
Banana
Tennessee.
Pudding, yeah.
It's like an hour past Nashville. I was like, I'll just get 4 friends and we'll all make different kinds of banana pudding and we'll just eat that.
Yeah.
I don't need to drive 4.5 hours to go to a banana pudding.
Yeah.
I am supposed to go to the Fried Pickle Festival in Philadelphia. That'll be interesting.
Careful, don't burn I feel like you just burn your mouth over and over and over.
Probably.
It's like I don't know how to eat fried pickles without scalding my mouth.
All right. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.